Amelia's house. Ooh, look at this. No stars. Speaking of stars,
It's a lovely painting, Amelia.
there's no
What do
such
you
things
see,
as
Amelia?
stars. Is that right?
The moon.
You know there's no such thing as stars.
Yeah. Hey. Ah! It was him. It was him. Come on, Bond. He needs her to open it, doesn't he? That was him, wasn't it? That was the doctor. Something Pond? Stick around, Pond. Of course. Decked out in red and blue. Touch it. Go on. Go on. Go on. Touch it. Touch it. Whoa. Whoa. Now the problem is it gonna bring them to life as well. Oh, those are boots. Cowboy boots.
Okay, kid. This is where it gets complicated.
Yeah, you don't say. Okay, so they already broke into it in the past, of course. And they put Amy in there.
I could do with a ridiculous miracle about
I think you're about to get him, my friend.
Listen, she's not dead.
Your girlfriend isn't more important than the whole universe.
Oh. Oh.
She is to me! Welcome back, Rory Williams! Sorry.
Nice
Are
cross.
you sure?
Now, all it needs now is a scan of her living DNA and it'll restore her.
Where's it gonna get that?
In about 2,000 years.
Amelia Pond.
Why do you have to be so human?
Because right now I'm not.
Wow. Oh, wow. Wow. That's incredible.
There are eyewitness accounts from the night of the fire of a figure in Roman dress carrying the box from the flames.
How about that?
Oh, Rory.
How about that? Wow. I did activate them.
What's going on?
Oh,
Get out of here, go! Just run!
I know that voice.
Do you think?
He's still around.
Wait! Now I don't have the Sonic, I just gave it to Rory.
Pocket,
2,000 years
pocket.
ago. Right then.
That visual.
How do you know to come here?
Because she's gonna tell you how. And now you're gonna go do it. Oh, I love it. Give the other, yeah.
There you go, drink up. Vortex manipulator, cheap and nasty time travel, very bad for you. I'm trying to give it up.
Where are we going?
It's like fast food. Oh boy. Oh boy. So no regeneration?
Then what is that?
That's from the TARDIS, I'm
Like
guessing,
I said,
right?
I'm looking for an exploding TARDIS.
Oh god.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
And what sort of time do you call this?
I dated an Estine duplicate once. Swappable head. Do keep things fresh. Right then, I have questions.
The box contains a memory of the universe, and the light transmits the memory, and that's how we're gonna do it.
Do what?
The Big Bang.
Relight the fire. Reboot the universe.
Reboot the universe, not like that.
Doctor. Doctor, it's me, River. Doctor, can you hear me?
He has to time travel.
What is it? What do you need?
Ooh, that look. She'll take care of this Dalek.
Yet. Your systems are still
Haha,
restored.
the duel.
One more time.
God damn, River Song is so cool.
Can you hear me?
Wow.
What were you doing?
Beautiful.
It's speeding up. Look at this room.
Wow. Wow.
All memory of him will be purged from the universe.
But if you can
Never
remember,
been born. Now, please.
love the contrast here. The teal inside the Pandorica and then the red orange outside. It's a beautiful looking episode for sure.
Emmy, your house is too big. That big. Empty house, just you.
Oh, no, Sharon.
And
Where were your mum and
a
dad?
bunch of others.
Where was everybody who lived in that big house?
Disappeared from existence.
I lost my mum and dad.
How? Nothing is ever forgotten.
There.
Not really. But you have to try.
Remember.
Oh. Okay. I escaped then. Brilliant. I love it when I do that. Legs, yes. I'm rewinding my time stream. Unraveling.
This is the doctor, isn't it? This is the one. This is the one that shows up.
Good luck, everyone.
There.
Behave. Do not let that girl open her eyes.
But you don't always tell me the truth.
If I always told you the truth, I wouldn't need you to trust me. Remember what I told you when you were 7?
What did you tell me?
No,
That's not the point.
that's not the point. You have to remember.
All the way back.
Amelia's house.
Yeah.
When she was 7,
That means she might be
at night she waited.
outside. Yes, 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 yes. I love how it's all adding up.
I thought if you could hear me, I could hang on somehow. Silly me. Silly old doctor. And you won't even remember me.
Oh, don't be too sure just yet, Doctor. Let's see.
You'll remember me a little. There'll be a story in your head. And we're all stories in the end.
Wow.
Just make it a good one, eh? The daft old man who stole a magic box and ran away. Well, I borrowed it. I was always going to take it back.
Oh, he's getting kind of tired and
Oh, that box. He'll never leave you. Big and little at the same time.
kind of like
Brand
Amelia and
new
Amy Pond.
and ancient and the bluest blue.
Oh,
ever.
Matt Smith.
And the times we had, eh? I don't belong here anymore.
Can she remember? Stars are back. Starry night. Bit of a time skip.
Morning!
Oh, is that Mom?
You're my mom.
Oh, someone left it for you. A
Oh.
What is it?
It's a book.
It's blank. Something old. Something new. Something borrowed.
Borrowed.
Something blue.
The bluest of blues.
Yeah. Completely astonished. Never expected that.
You absolutely, definitely may kiss the bride.
Whoa.
From now on, I
Come
shall
on now,
be leaving
Amy.
the kissing duties to the brand new Mr. Pom.
What is that?
Did you dance?
Oh.
Well, you always dance at weddings, don't you?
You tell me.
Spoilers.
The writing's all back, but I didn't peek.
Thank you.
Are you married, River?
Are you asking?
Are you proposing?
Yes.
Yes.
No, hang on. Did you think I was asking you to marry me or asking if you were married?
Yes.
No, but was that yes or yes?
Yes.
Yeah, you're just gonna get a yes.
Who are you?
You're going to find out very soon now. And I'm sorry. But that's when everything changes.
God damn it. That's such a tease.
Take the evening off. Maybe
Yeah.
build tomorrow. Space and time isn't safe yet. The TARDIS exploded for a reason. Something drew the TARDIS to this particular date. And
Right.
blew up. Why? And why
That's the
now?
unknown still.
Silence.
Well, no, I get that it's important. An Egyptian goddess loose on the Orient Express.
Ooh. I like the sound of that.
In space. Give us a mo.
Sorry. Something's come up. This will have to be.
Oh no, they're coming along. Goodbye.
Don't worry about a thing, Your Majesty.
So they are going to continue.
We're on our way.
Your Majesty. That was fantastic. Loved it. Loved it. Beginning to end. One of the best. One of the best of the show. Okay, there it is. The finale to Series 5. The first of the Matt Smith era. As you saw my initial reaction right after the episode, I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was so engaging, so entertaining, so fun. Of course, I'll get into a bit more detail in a bit. I've got to say, for the first time in 5 series, right, since the Eccleston season or series, I finally have a finale that actually could be one of the best episodes of the series, right? Or, I should say one of my favorite episodes of the series. One of the best episodes of the series is quite a tall order, of course. But yeah, I meant to say one of my favorite, right? But the thing here is that, as you might have noticed in my discussion for the last episode, for part 1, the Pandorica opens, I brought up the Davies era 2-parter finales, right? I did not have this type of reaction to any finale from the Davies era. Once again, like I mentioned, pretty much all of them, all 4 finales, it was kind of like I enjoyed moments rather than the entire episode as a whole, right? This is not the case, this was not the case here in The Big Bang. And listen, that doesn't mean those finales didn't have some incredible moments. They certainly did. They had some of the all-time great moments, especially the Series 4 finale, right? I mean, the tone of the Series 4 finale and the Series 5 finale, it's, the exact opposite in that sense, right? The ending off point. But it had to be. For Series 4, it had to be that type of tone, right? Given that it was nearing the conclusion of Tennant's run. Yeah, Donna Noble and Tennant, I love a lot of Season 4. In fact, as I'm on the topic, I think, as of this point, Series 4 and Series 5 are like the 2 contenders for best series of Doctor Who. The ones I've watched, of course. I'm not speaking of classic Doctor Who. I've only seen the new one, the 2005 reboot or soft reboot. Yeah, I think it's pretty easy, actually, to pick out the 2 best out of the 5, really. Honestly speaking, 4 and 5 stand out above the rest. Moffat and Matt Smith era has kind of given me a fantastic TARDIS team, right? And I'm so happy. I'm legitimately so happy to see Amy and Rory, the pawns essentially, right, continue on the TARDIS. I would have been quite sad if that actually was goodbye to the pawns. But it never felt like it was going to be goodbye in that sense, especially once, the big moment happens and Amy remembers the Doctor. And, subsequently, that also kind of brings out the Rory I've seen kind of develop into the fantastic character that he becomes. Yeah, again, I'll get into specifics and a bit more detail in a bit, but, I'm kind of giving my thoughts on the series 5 as a whole and in comparison to the rest. But I've got to say, it's quite impressive that, in his first series as showrunner, he's already kind of achieving those levels, right? Again, in my opinion, it rivals Season 4. I can't quite pick out the best, but it's Series 4 or Series 5. Sorry, I keep kind of saying season, series, as of this point. But circling back to the initial point about the finale of a series actually being one of my favorites of the show entirely, yeah, this is the first time it's done that. This is the first time, by the time the credits roll, I've had that feeling, oh, okay, that is an episode I really want to go watch again, right? That's a 2-parter. I definitely want to go watch again multiple times, right? I can't say that about most of the other finales up until this point. I mean, of course, given how the series kicked off, the 11th hour, one of the best episodes of the show, right? I think that's a bit of a unanimous thing, right? I'm sure all of us agree on that. 11th Hour is one of the best episodes of the series. So the moment I saw that episode, I knew that it's in good hands. It's in good hands, right? The next showrunner, and it's clear to see that Moffat kind of excels at long form storytelling, right? Long form story arcs, right? He certainly excels at that, and he's utilized this first series, Series 5, as the playground for this fantastic story arc, and I think it's been wrapped up beautifully by the end of this episode, by the end of this series. But at the same time, also setting up a lot of interesting plot points, right? And these plot points are kind of set up in the 11th hour, yet they're not resolved by the end of this series. A lot of them are, but some of them continue, making it potentially a Matt Smith era story arc altogether, perhaps. Some of these things maybe could play out over the span of the next couple of series, for all I know. The main one here being River Song and the Silence, right? The reason for the TARDIS being taken over and blowing up in the first place, right? The Silence was mentioned in the 11th hour, right? So long form storytelling. Going back to River Song, yeah, that setup certainly felt like, okay, it's about to dial it up a notch, right? In terms of the truth of River Song, right? As you know by now, River Song is one of my favorite characters of this show, one of my favorite plot points and story arcs of this show, right? To me, it feels like such a treat anytime River Song and Alex Kingston makes an appearance. And I feel like it should feel like that, right? Given this special appearance character. And I think it does. It does. It has that effect on me for sure. And yes, of course, I can't hide it. I do have a crush on River Song and Alex Kingston as well. It's kind of impossible to hide it, right? I was editing the footage from my last reaction. Yeah, I mean, I had no chill at some moments. I was just openly simping for River Song. I mean, can you blame me? Can you really blame me? But yeah, Alex Kingston, she's lovely. But yeah, getting back to the character itself, I'm really, really quite excited about her next few appearances in Series 6 and beyond, perhaps. But Series 6, yeah. I'm sure, much like Series 5, I'll get her a few more times, right? And hopefully two-parters. Right? I think as of this point, I've only ever seen her in two-parters, right? The initial appearance, her and Tennant, right? Forest of the Dead, Silence in the Library, and then in this series, right? The Byzantium, Flesh and Stone, I believe that was the second part's name. Of course, the setup from Flesh and Stone, it appears I was on the right track, and it was a featured doctor that shows up at that point in time. I thought it was quite a clever setup there, though it's also a bit unmissable as well if you're really watching the screen, if you're really paying attention, that they've brought your attention to the fact that he, his coat or his jacket gets left behind, right? There's a shot that lingers on his hanging coat on one of the angels, right? You don't show a shot like that if you don't want the audience to notice that, okay, pay attention here, his jacket was left behind, right? Before I go any further, speaking of the angels, are the angels back as well, right? Everything's been reset or restored, I should say. But yeah, does that mean the angels are back as well? Let's see. But yeah, I thought Moffat wrapped it up nicely. He explained that situation, and he tied it up all together. So it appears that he showed up at that moment in time because he was kind of going backwards. And, I've got to say, the sequence of him actually going through those moments, and you kind of get to see some of those moments throughout Series 5, I thought that was great. I always love those kind of montages almost. By the time you get to the end of a series, and then you see a lot of the scenes from episodes 1 all the way to the finale. But this time, of course, it's kind of going backwards, right? And he's kind of showing up in these moments. Even the Lodger, he even managed to put in yet another scene from the Lodger. And then, of course, it circles back to Amelia's house, 11th hour. Lovely moment as he picks her up and brings her back inside. Yeah. I just love how nicely it was all tied back together, right? That's perhaps the reason I really appreciated this series and this finale more so than any other finale, essentially. For the Davies era, to me, it felt like, it would have its first 10 or 11 episodes, right? It would have those. And of course, you have your usual two-parters. But then, once it would get to episodes 12 and 13, then I don't want to say it felt disconnected, but it felt like, I guess maybe, yeah, I can say it kind of felt like it wasn't as connected to those first 11 episodes. Yes, there might have been some things sprinkled here and there throughout the first 11 episodes. But, by the time it would get to episodes 12 and 13, it did feel like, okay, all that's done now. The first 11 episodes are done. Now let's kind of get to this storyline. Now, I'm not saying that's the incorrect method or anything. I'm just saying that my preference appears to be this method, right? The Moffat method of really connecting the season all together. Yes, there's a few episodes in there that don't quite connect to much, right? And of course, there are a few stinkers in this. I'm not gonna shy from that either. There's a few stinkers in this season as well. The one that really stands out to me, in terms of not the greatest, I'm thinking of the two-parter, the reptile people two-parter. I can't remember their exact name, but yeah, that two-parter. No, in fact, I think I like the Lodger, or I enjoyed the Lodger a bit more than that two-parter. But the funny thing is, the reason I did kind of enjoy, or was able to enjoy elements of the Lodger, was kind of the opposite for the reason I enjoyed Series 5 as a whole. Because the Lodger felt like a one-off, right? The Doctor does domestic. I really just like that chill, kind of hangout type episode. Getting to see Matt Smith and the Doctor in a different type of scenario. A really fun scenario. To me, it felt like it was cohesive and refined. I've got to say, I really enjoyed Series 5. And again, I think another major aspect of that, beyond the writing, I suppose, and I've got to say, the writing, I think it's safe to say, in my opinion at least, that it is perhaps the best writing out of the 5 series so far, right? As a cohesive season or a series, I think Series 5 is perhaps the best written of the 5 I've seen so far. And it's not really that big of a shock either, is it? That Moffat's series, his first series, ends up kind of being the best written, in my opinion, because a lot of Moffat's earlier episodes, right, his special appearance episodes, The Girl in the Fireplace, Blink, the initial River Song two-parter, those are some of my favorites of the entire show, right? But again, the big question was, is he able to kind of take the next step? Yeah, go from doing these one-off special episodes that are easily some of the best of the show to actually kind of having full control almost, right? The showrunner for the next few series. As of this point, I think he's right on track. I think he's right on the money. I think he delivered a fantastic first series in this era, Matt Smith and Moffat era. And of course, a big part of that is Matt Smith. How incredible is Matt Smith in this role, right? How incredible was he in this episode, right? At this one point, he felt so tired and broken, right? He himself even said, this old doctor, right? It's time for me to move on. Or I believe it was something along those lines. But, I really felt that he's lived so much, or maybe he feels that he's lived a little too much, right? He really encapsulated that old soul, right? I've read that comment a few times since I started Series 5, and I see that. It's certainly quite present in this episode, right? You see it through his acting. By the time he makes it to Amelia's bedside, beautiful moment. It's a beautiful moment of the series. He felt so tired and broken to me in that moment, saying goodbye to Amelia. And of course, the two goodbye moments to Amelia and to Amy, I guess I can kind of use the different names to, differentiate. Again, Matt Smith, beautiful in both those moments, right? Beautiful acting on display in both those moments. I adore Matt Smith. I really do. I adore him as the Doctor. He is so perfect for this role. I love his take on the Doctor. And of course, he was given a fantastic script for this episode as well. And his line delivery is just top notch, man. It's top tier stuff. And, speaking of top tier stuff, I felt like the imagery, right? The photography of this episode, and just, the mood in general that's created, to me, felt like top tier sci-fi imagery. A lot of it. This episode specifically was really quite noticeable in terms of its photography slash imagery, and some of the themes. Though, of course, the last one, the Pandorca opens, again, top tier sci-fi television, in my opinion. Though, I can't say I've seen too many science fiction shows. I can't even remember. I must have seen a few others. But yeah, The Expanse is certainly on the list, high on that list, alongside Better Call Saul in terms of live action shows that I would love to do in the near future on the channel. So if you're into that, stay tuned. And of course, the photography has been one of the standouts, right, of this series since day one, since 11th Hour, right? It was so noticeable, as you'll remember from my reaction from 11th Hour. And it continued all the way through to the final episode of the series. Yes, there's a few episodes here and there that don't really, there's not anything special going on in terms of the photography, but it's quite noticeable. There's a distinct shift. I remember I mentioned that it feels a bit more like a modern show in that sense. The next step up in terms of photography and the look of it and the presentation of it all. And, as I'm on the topic of the technical side of things, Murray Gold and his soundtrack. yes, I'm going to mention it once again, as I should, because the man is a genius, musical genius, isn't he? One of the themes that really stuck out to me, once again, is River Song's theme, right? In the goodbye, outside in the courtyard. River Song and the doctor, and it's a fun little scene. It's a beautiful scene, really, right? Again, I thought a lot of great acting on display by Alex Kingston as well, right? Are you married, River Song? Yes. 3 different yeses, and the last one, as she kind of leans in, the look on her face. Yeah, it's quite the unmissable look, isn't it? River Song's theme is just so magical. I mean, in that sense, most of this series and the music, some of the new music for this series specifically, is so magical, and it makes sense, again, because of the whole fairy tale aspect of this, right? It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. It's like everything kind of came together in a nice little package, right? The photography, the score, the acting, the writing, the story itself, the major story arc of the series, all of it kind of came together nicely, right? In this finale, in this final 2-parter. And I've got to say, I feel like there's a lot of great subtext in Moffat's writing here, especially for someone like Rory. That character, wow. I've got to say, one of the standouts of this series has been Rory and that character development and progress since 11th Hour all the way to this finale, right? Wow. He starts off as a bit part player, right? Bit of a comic relief character, right? Butt of the joke. Slowly he starts coming into it, right? There's nuance there. And by the end of this series, by the end of his character arc in this series, you see quite a changed individual, right? You see someone who is heroic, someone who was kind of a tragic hero in that sense, someone who ends up becoming an integral part of this series, of the story, and of that TARDIS team. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that Rory has now become one of my favorite companions of the show. I can't quite say that about Amy just yet, but that doesn't mean I don't like Amy. I adore Amy as well. But there is something about Rory's character that I really kind of liked in this series, right? That progression, that development. I really, appreciate that. And how about, the pledge, the 2,000-year pledge of Rory? Wow. Him sitting down, in that outfit, sitting down in front of the box, or the Pandorca, Pandora's box, Pandorca, same thing, right? From Amy's imagination in her books. That shot of him kind of just standing there and then sitting down to begin his pledge, essentially, 2,000-year pledge. I think that's one of the greatest moments of the show, right? It is so powerful, so poignant. It's one of those images that kind of sticks with you, right? I'm always going to remember Rory in that outfit, you know, getting ready to guard the love of his life for the next 2,000 years. It's a beautiful moment, right? Again, kind of goes back to that notion that this episode had a bit of everything, right? It's a breathless pace, but you know, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's heartbreaking, it's emotionally charged, right? It's got the time traveling aspect of it, the paradoxes, and you know, you could tell Moffat certainly enjoys a good paradox, and so do I. You know, I've got to say the whole section in the, I was gonna say gym. I don't know why I'm thinking of the gym, but the museum, that was so fun. I love that so much, that whole segment. But yeah, you know, Rory, I love Rory. I really do. And I'm so happy that he continues. And also Amy, of course. You know, I'm happy that both of them as a couple, as husband and wife, continue to the next season, to the next series, sorry, series 6. So that dynamic should be quite interesting as well and fun now. You know, I mean, on that end, essentially they are about to spend their honeymoon on the TARDIS. I mean, I suppose that's the best place to be, right? Because the doctor, their friend, the doctor, he could take them to the best places, to the nicest places, right? And perhaps give them some alone time as well. You know, it is the honeymoon. It is quite interesting that, you know, right after they get married, they jump on, man. They jump right on. And I love that bond they have, right? You know, that trio, there's a really interesting dynamic there. Again, one of the standout moments of the series for me is the dynamic that they have, right? Be it Rory and the Doctor, be it the Doctor and Amy, be it Amy and Rory. And listen, you know, at the end there, you see that Amy kind of start on, you know, on the day she's getting married in front of her parents and in front of everyone as the Doctor shows up on the scene. Of course, you know, he knew it's going to play out like this. He had all belief in Amy. You know, he was fully decked out in his tux. You know, he's being a little bit sarcastic about being shocked. She still kind of had that flirty tone and nature. You saw my reaction. I was like, oh, Amy, come on, you know, you're getting married. Maybe not on this day, but, you know, I understand, you know. I understand that that's just kind of part of her. That's in her nature, to be this affectionate person that is not kind of afraid to be flirty, right? And you know, in this case, it really felt like she was almost kind of teasing Rory rather than disrespecting Rory openly or anything. Especially, you know, once they kind of go back to the TARDIS right at the end, you know, you see that she's saying it because Rory's right there as well. You know, it's kind of like this playful flirting thing she's doing to kind of get under his skin. But I don't think she's trying to hurt Rory's feelings or anything. You know, I mean, she picked the man, right? I mean, there's a beautiful love story at the middle of it all, right? So she picked the man. He's the one she chose. But, you know, she's still able to kind of play around, mess around. You know, okay, this was her crush after all, right? You know, it's that thing, you know, married couples or, you know, couples kind of crushing on celebs, right? Oh, this is my pass, essentially, right? It's a bit of that. Though, of course, I don't think Amy would ever cross that line. The Doctor wouldn't either. It does kind of have that playful tone to it. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of progress in that sense. But, you know, going back to Rory, to finish off my initial point, and him being one of my favorites at this point, one of my favorite companions at this point, yeah, you know, by the end of series 5, you have this character that has a lot of depth and that has a lot of subtext, right? And I credit Moffat's writing for that. There's a lot of great subtext to the character of Rory. You know, episodes like Amy's Choice come to mind in that sense. Yeah, you know, I've got to say, Series 5 is one I really want to go check out again from the beginning. For sure. Once I do have some time, perhaps. And then, you know, speaking of other characters, one of my favorites, like I mentioned, River Song, she had a lot of great moments, standout moments in this episode. You know, her ice cold moment, right? The duel. Love some of the photography there as well. The ruthless River Song, right? That's one of the things I really love about River Song. You know, she's not this one-dimensional character. There's so much to love about her, right? So much I need to learn about her as well, of course. But her being ruthless, right? And asking the Dalek, you know, to ask for mercy, essentially, and then still executing the Dalek. That's got to be one of the most badass moments of the entire show. And that only made me crush on her even harder. I mean, that is such a cool character. River Song is so cool. And, you know, there's that great moment in the TARDIS as the Doctor breaks her out of the time loop she was put in by the TARDIS. And she asked him, you know, what kind of time is this? You know, I made a fun joke about, this being demon time. If you know, you know. But essentially, it was a really clever line of dialogue there, right? Because time isn't really moving at all. And of course, a few more fun moments. Her talking about, changing heads to keep things interesting. And of course, the heads, it could be either one, right? Either one. But yeah, it kind of continues that playful, flirty nature that River Song also has, right? She does have that. But going back to the writing of Series 5 and it being so thematically coherent, right? And all this kind of tying back to that thematic core set up in the 11th hour. One of the aspects I've loved since the 11th hour is the notion that memories are powerful things, right? That stories play a major part in a person's life, that stories can be powerful, memories can be powerful, as they prove to be in this series, in this finale as well. It's full of just great moments and lines of dialogue, isn't it? Be it that line about, something old, something new, something borrowed, or something blue. I believe I have heard that before. It might be associated with marriage, I believe. I don't know. You'll have to let me know, but it was kind of ringing a bell. I think I've heard that before. But, it certainly slots in perfectly in this case as well. But then, of course, the moment that gave me goosebumps was that line of dialogue and the delivery of that line of dialogue as he's saying goodbye to Emilia Pond. We're all stories in the end. Make it a good one, right? Something along those lines, I believe. Make sure it's a good one or make it a good one. Wow. Memories are more powerful than you think. Yeah, I mean, I had such a blast. I had such a blast during that finale. Yes, you could, of course, you can go in and, pick some things apart as well, right? The Pandorica is not the greatest prison ever built, is it? Right? I'm not saying they're saying that it is the greatest prison ever built, but you could see that it was quite simple for them to kind of get into it on multiple occasions. Though the second time it was kind of like this DNA thing that they needed, right? So you had Emilia Pond touch the Pandorica, guide her towards the museum and then the Pandorica. But a good old sonic screwdriver opened it up. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's about it for this one, folks. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed that. Much more than perhaps any other finale I've seen yet for Doctor Who. And yes, it is the only one as of this point that kind of ranks in my favorites of all time, right? Top 15, perhaps. Top 10 is a tough one to break into. Top 15, potentially. But again, the first finale that's actually had me really excited the whole time, right? It wasn't just the usual, oh, I like moments from the finale, but not as a whole. So if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access or perhaps full length for this episode or any Doctor Who episode, consider checking out the Patreon page. And of course, the early access is going to be the Christmas special, right? Should be the Christmas special next. So yeah, check out the links in the description, pinned comment if you're interested. But yeah, that's a wrap. Series finale and Series 5 as a whole. I thought it was a fantastic first outing as a series for Moffat, and long may it continue, right? Though of course, you guys know how it turns out. I hope it continues on this trajectory, on this path. So thank you for joining me and thank you for your time, as time is precious. But I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.